beautiful words, and that allows, if ever was a time for prayer, it is now a time for prayer.
All right, the subject, John, the 3rd chapter of John. That's what we're going to start with. But the 3rd chapter of John, the 3rd chapter of John is the gospel, the new birth. The gospel is the new birth. That's why this is the only message that get people to go back to heaven and be with God forever.
Okay.
Is believe in the gospel. It's the 3rd chapter of John. The J in John means Jesus.
Amen.
The O means omnipresence. The H means holy. The N means nation.
Okay. Say it again, Rev. Say it again 3 times that you tell us always.
The J means Jesus. The O means omnipresent. The H means holy. And the N means nation. The J means Jesus. The O means omnipresent. The H means holy. And the N means nation.
I can relate to that, sir. I can relate to that.
The 3rd chapter of John, in the little foretitle said, Jesus and Nicodemus, the new birth, compared with verse 3. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God. For no man can do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus said unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? No, sir, he can't. Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That's how you're born again, by the water and the Spirit. That's the Holy Spirit birth, new birth.
Amen.
That's the new nature. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? Jesus answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? The reason why they didn't know about the gospel, because they weren't saying the gospel. They were talking everything but the gospel. And that's why people are so confused in the churches today. They said they think that the water baptism saved them. The water baptism, if you go down in the water, not believing Christ's death, burial, and resurrection, you're going to die and go to hell. But if you go down there believing, then you pass from death into life before you sleep and after you sleep. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how should you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent into the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. The gospel. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned. But he that believeth not is condemned already, because he had not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And
You're breaking up a little bit, Brother Allen.
Huh?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, I'm too close to the mic then.
Probably.
All right, I'm how now?
Sounds a little better.
Doing great.
Okay, and this is a condemnation that light is coming to the world. Men of darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hated the light. These are coming to the light, that his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth coming to the light, his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrong in God. After these things came Jesus and his disciples in the land of Judea. There he tarried with them and baptized. And John also was baptized in Aenon, near to Salem, because there was much water there. And they came and were baptized. But John was not yet cast into prison. There arose a question between some of John's disciples and the Jews about purifying. And they came unto John, said unto him, Rabbi, he that was with thee beyond Jordan.
Okay, I read with this small favor, okay? Want me to just kind of review what Christ is just was talking about here, okay? When you're talking about the light.
You breaking up. You breaking up.
Yep.
Well, we have some technical difficulties today early in the program.
Well, let's take a small break and reconnect, all right?
That'll work.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Thank you so much, and welcome to Ferguson, USA Hot Talk Radio, talking with the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce.
Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce have a technical break there, but right now we are reading from John, the third chapter, and Elder Lounge was in the process of doing explaining the message that Christ was giving us here before he began to baptize. So tell us about reintroduce people to what Nicodemus, where we are here.
We in verse 25.
Okay,
we just left from verse. I'll read 24 again. But John was not yet cast into prison. Then there arose a question between some of John's disciples and the Jews about purifying.
Okay, Rev, before we get into John and his disciples, okay, tell us clear up a little bit here about Nicodemus, okay, what Christ was telling him here, which was an important point here about how we can be born again. And we don't want to leave people hanging on that. That's very important that people understand what that actually means about how you being saved.
Oh, you want to go all the way back up to the top?
And not just review it in general. It gives an overview of what you just said, what's being said there. And when Christ is saying, he said, "Really, I say to you, we speak what we do know, and testify what we have seen, and you receive not our witnesses." So, anyways, it's Spain. Okay, was Christ explaining to people who have been baptized, people who have not been baptized, and people are starting to get baptized. And that talks a little bit about why people want to be baptized and need to be baptized.
Okay, he said in verse 3, Jesus answered and said unto him, "Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." Mm-hmm. Nicodemus said unto him, "How can a man be born when he is old? Mm-hmm. Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? No." Jesus answered, "Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit." That's how you're born again. That's how you believe in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And you pass from death into life before you sleep and after you sleep. You have to believe that before you go in the water.
And also, when he said really, when he said back-to-back time, tell us what he's saying. When he said
the word verily means truly. Truly, truly.
Mm-hmm. You want to get your attention when he's saying that.
Yep. So in verse 6, that which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, you must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? Jesus answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness.
One other thing, let's go back to Nicodemus. Tell me what does a Pharisee, since he described as a Pharisee, exactly what is a Pharisee?
A Pharisee ain't nothing but a lawyer.
Okay.
The scribes and the lawyers, and those were those Jews, those wicked Jews that had Jesus crucified.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they were.
Okay, because in the Bible here, Pharisees, and people saying, well, what is a Pharisee? Okay, so he knew the law, but he didn't understand. He didn't understand what God was saying.
Now, the reason they didn't understand what God is saying because they was in unbelief.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you're in unbelief, you can't please God, but you might please yourself with your personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. So right now, we have a lot of people, who listen to what Nicodemus was saying and what the Pharisees, the lawyer, was saying. There's a big difference in what actually takes place, and that when Nicodemus couldn't visualize, how can this take place? Because it's not on paper this way. And God, Christ was saying, this is a new thing and a new day, and that He came here to make a change in life and change our lives forever. But we had to understand what He was doing, and nobody wanted to listen to Him.
The reason why Nicodemus was a master of Israel, but Nicodemus cannot talk what he don't know.
Right.
So that's why he came that way, because he didn't know. And that's what they do in the churches. They keep the gospel hidden to the people.
Why is that?
That's why people say, I get baptized, I'm saved. I'm saved by going in the water. No, you're not. You got to believe the gospel before you go in the water. Water don't save. Belief saves. Jesus Christ, death, burial, and resurrection. That's what saves you from going up in hell. You go out in the world with devil and conclude with the devil.
Okay. Okay, so you continue. Go ahead, sir.
If I have told you earthly things and you believe not, that unbelief is again. How should you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man had ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, which is Jesus Christ, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. He there now in heaven, waiting to come back to get us out of here, which is the next event is to rapture up the church. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so much the Son of Man be lifted up. That's when Jesus was on the cross, dying for your sin, was buried, and rose again. You believe that? You go to heaven. If you don't, you go to hell. That whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believe on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he had not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hated the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. After
So
these
right
things,
So right now, let's just stop it there and just kind of deal with this for another minute, okay? That you understand. Even today, okay, we are somewhat confused because there's no light. You're not explaining to us exactly what's going on.
when he said there ain't no light, that there ain't no light is talking about you in unbelief.
Yes, sir. Okay. Welcome back to another to Missouri Chamber Conference on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in St. Louis. Hope it's where you are also. And also, we're joined by one of our co-hosts here, Miss Deneen Busby. How you doing, Bud? I'm sorry, Busby. How you doing?
You're fine. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Life is good. I just call her Busby. That's my baby.
That's
But
fine.
how you doing? How was your week, girl?
It was good. I can't complain. I wouldn't complain anyway.
I know you.
I'm still here, still standing, walking, talking, having a great time.
And by the way, okay, your daughter had a big day for you also.
She did. She had a milestone birthday. I'm not allowed to say the number. So, but it was a good day, you know.
Okay.
I always say her birthday is my birthday is her birthday. So, yeah.
You know, I said that about one of my grandsons, which we're talking about another day, okay? But also, speaking of birthdays, this past week, okay, was a birthday, it's kind of ironic that our great leader, the late Jesse Jackson, passed away at the age of 84.
Yeah.
You know, and matter of fact, he's recognized. You know, he's one of those men, Busby. I met him a long time ago. As a matter of fact, it's because of him, okay, that I actually got in radio. So back in those days, I was into the labor movement with the teachers and what have you. And the president, Mr. Jackson, and Reverend Jackson came over to be our guest speaker of the World Park. And KBNY came down to do a live broadcast there. And Reverend Jackson was asked to come down next week to be the guest speaker on one of these programs, right? And he said, no, I'm going home. I got to go back to Chicago, right? He said, well, no, I'll go down there, you know. And so I said, no, I'll go out. So I went. So I went down to the radio station. And at that time, I was deep in the labor movement at that time. I did a sea change, a big jump. I got into radio busting. And from there, I eventually became the youngest black general manager in the whole country from when Reverend Jackson did for me. So I thank him very much. That's why we all got stories, okay, that we can tell why he changed our lives in so many ways, just by being in his presence. Do you have any Jesse Jackson moments?
I was trying to think if I met him before or interviewed him.
You met so many people over the years.
Well, it's troubling, though. It does bother me when I can't remember something, but
young lady.
I do think about the fact that all of our pivotal leaders are leaving, you know, and I mean, it's natural. I mean, it's life, but what and who will come behind them, you know, because we are in some very difficult times. And I think I was just talking to a friend of mine. I think about all the, you know, leaders that I've met and the impact that they made, and just like Jackson, you know, Maya Angelou, I interviewed her before. So, I mean, they left so much for us. But at the same time, it's incumbent upon us to carry that.
She's from St. Louis, by the way, you know.
Who, Maya Angelou?
Was she from St. Louis? I think she was, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe she was.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's from St. Louis. Yeah, she's from St. Louis. Okay. I got my story right there with Brother Scott. Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was really sad to see.
But she's outside, so she may have dropped the call, but she'll call back. And also, Scott, it's ironic that he was at the age of 84. Because in 1984, that's when he had his, I think, second run for Congress, okay? No, for the president, I'm sure. He ran for president a couple of times. And I remember working in that campaign back then. But he has been so many things to our country. He was one of the few leaders, okay, that could go to those African countries and get our people, when they were held hostages over in Libya, places like that, where Jesse Jackson went over there as our ambassador and brought our hostages home. But I was telling people, how Jesse, Reverend Jackson was able to go places because of his color, okay, but also because the way he talked to people. He didn't talk down to nobody, okay. I don't care who you are or who big you are, how small you were. He just treated you like everyday people. I mean, and that's the thing I think that's not the most okay about him. Now, when he opened his mouth, okay, we all knew who Jesse Jackson was. I mean, because if you go down to the museum down in Memphis, a lot of people have gone to down there where Dr. King was killed at. The late Dr. King was killed at down there, and Reverend Jackson was there with him. In matter of fact, it really could have hit him. Who knows what the story would have been, okay? But he's been in so many places, okay? And like the thing he said, I am somebody. There came in a time that we all were going through changes in our communities around the country here. He said, I'm black and I'm proud. You know what I'm saying? And the people said, yes, I am, okay? So he said so many things, okay, that made our people feel proud about themselves. And I said, and one thing about Reverend Jackson, he wasn't all about himself all the time. You know what I'm saying? I remember when he had a boycott against Anheuser-Busch years ago. Okay, you know, and he brought a lot of changes with Anheuser-Busch at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't about him always. It was about who my people need to have respect at the table. At the table. I mean, you can make a change that you're at the table, okay?
That's
you know,
right.
Because you've been at the table for a lot of stuff, okay? That somebody can go back to, but just what I heard through the grapevine, girl, you did? But you wasn't at the table. I was been at the table. And it's because of Jesse Jackson, okay? Matter of fact, he changed the Democratic Party so much, okay? This time I found out just the other day that there was a time when in the primaries where you had 20% of delegates, they got, okay, had to be 20%, from your caucus, for you to get into the election, right? Well, he changed it to 15. Well, that allowed President Obama, okay, to qualify. I mean, so, and even when President Biden became president, he came to South Carolina. Guess what? That's where Jack Jackson came from. South Carolina. So I mean, so he had a footprint on so many things.
Yeah.
So many things that affected our lives, in your kids' lives, my kids' lives, my great-grandkids' lives. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much, okay, to Jesse Jack and his family, who will forever be part of our lives. So I'm sorry, Scott. You got any thoughts about Jesse Jackson? I'm sorry, I'm leaving you out on this.
No, go ahead and leave me out on this.
Okay. Well, Scott, I'd like to hear about it. The team, we don't want to leave nobody left out here, okay? But anyway, now having said that, as we have a beautiful day in St. Louis, buzzes out in that park. That's how good the weather is today. Well,
I mean, it was a little chilly. But I really miss walking out. Being outside, walking outside. I can. It's just better. I don't know, and this is very random. This is such a random comment, and maybe you can answer this. But one thing I noticed about being if you go to the gym, you can go, and it happens no matter what. It happens when you park your car. You can go to the gym, and there will be empty treadmills. Like, you're the only one there, and the person will come and to the two of them from you, or one from you. Like, why? You can park your car at the very end, nobody around. Inevitably, when you come out, somebody gonna be parked right next to you. Like, what is that about a lot of people that they just gravitate towards other people? I don't understand that.
I'm going to say this for me and for you, okay? And for Scott, okay? People gravitate toward leaders, okay? That don't happen just to everybody. They gravitate toward people, like people see you in the gym, okay? They say, oh, there's Busby.
They don't even know me, Ira. They don't even know.
But again, you talk to a young lady, you come on, let's be honest about it. And that's something that's important, okay? You have to understand that why they're coming towards you, okay? They want to be close to you. Now in your car, okay, I can't help you on that one.
Well, when you park your car, have you ever noticed that though? If you park your car far away from everybody else, when you come back, it'll be a car right next to you, and it'll just be y'all two right there. And that's weird to me. It's so weird to me. I don't know what that is. My daughter was just saying the same thing, but back to what you said, that was the only reason why I went, because I actually went to skate lessons this morning. I was under the weather yesterday. I wasn't feeling so good, so I've been missing out on my everyday exercise, and I was sweating when I came out, so I thought it was much nicer outside. But I made it through. So thankfully, thanks to God, I made it through.
But that's why the wind was blowing there first, and that's why
Yes, that's why I kind of try to put you on mute so you didn't hear all that wind.
Right
But
now.
it's still nice.
Like a true professional. Okay?
That's right. I'm a professional.
I know it, buddy. I know it, girl. But anyway, as we near the end of another one, please be aware while you're out in the battle, okay? Because the measles right now are definitely haven't gone away. In fact, we had a person here in St. Louis that flew in, and they traced that person all the way to where they came, to where he landed, okay? Because measles outbreaks are taking place on college campuses all around the country. It just took place down in Florida, okay? University, and this will be Florida. Ava Maria University has the latest university to be affected. Now, on these campuses, these kids got to go home, okay? So that's why this is so important, okay? And so right now, people who say, well, I don't want to get the measles vaccination, well, guess what? We grew up getting vaccinated. We grew up having those take place. So when your baby got born, she got vaccinated. I get vaccinated, okay? But guess what? That means that the measles is not something that we worry about. But now all of a sudden, guess what? We're going in the wrong direction, okay? So please get your kids vaccinated. The doctor didn't ask you if you want to be vaccinated. They vaccinated you. There was a shot that your kids all got when they went to school. Vaccination for measles is one of those things. So we ask you, please get those vaccinations for you, not just for your kids, but for your family, for you. Is that you go home to some of your older people who are at home. They don't need to catch no measles. You know what I'm saying? Measles is something that's contagious right now. And also, we still tell you, COVID is not going away. They don't talk about it.
Right,
Just wet your face, man. If people start coughing, cover your mouth, okay? Cover your face if you can. Step back a little bit, but please, we all learn this. You talk to your kids, talk to my kids, my great-grandkids. Wash your hands. That's something that we all need to be aware of. And also, I know, Buddy, I know you're proud of this past week, okay? And you go first. Tell about the. Go ahead. Okay. Well, I go ahead. There are five black department captains now in our department.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And they're female, right?
And they're female. All they're female.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a total of 6 women in the captains right now. We're board in our department, and this is ironic, okay? Because we only started having females or women in our departments started back in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
And since then we have had I think 32 women have joined the department since then. But just the thing, we got 6 now. Women in leadership, and that's something that I am very proud of. Okay, sometimes we hear about St. Louis, doing this. Always good news we last. We first. Okay, no, good news we last. Bad news we first. Well, this time this is good news column. Speaking of good news, Boeing came back home. So for people that Boeing, Well, see, Boeing, we all grew up known as McDonnell Douglas.
That's right.
And so Boeing was bought out by McDonnell Douglas. Right.
Yeah.
And then they moved them to D.C. Well, now they're back here in St. Louis where they should be now. Now, there's a smart caveat to this. If you recall, Buzz, we just had a big union fight here with the teachers unions. And so now that they just decided we settled, okay. And now, as you can see, all these wars going on around the world, they all have Boeing fighter jets out there fighting now.
Yeah.
And all those countries around the world are buying our old jets. Mm-hmm. And they all refer to our old jets. And so right now, and I always had a funny feeling about this. I'm about you and Scott on this one. That's how Boeing was here, okay. How could they make St. Louis a target, okay? If they does a war or something, they may want to come to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Then go someplace else, But right now, Boeing is back home here in St. Louis, okay? And that's a good thing for John for a long time, you know, because they got the next fighter jet that's coming out of St. Louis, you know. And then we're so happy to have that, bit about history here, you know. And also, speaking of a good things here, okay, this is something I was going to talk about later, but I'm talking about it right now. Right now, over in Iran, there's a little dispute going on about nuclear weapons. I didn't talk about this off air earlier, Busby. And right now, my personal opinion, I think Iran probably got their own nuclear weapons themselves right now. But right now, there's a big build-up right now because our president feels that they can intimidate Iran into making a decision. Well, something that, brother, you haven't been a part of this conversation, okay, but Scott and Reverend Niles, I've been saying for years and years and years that the United States is not part of prophecy. No place are we in the Bible about the United States. And now, okay, Iran has nuclear weapons, okay, and right now, Iran and Russia have just did a military drill together. So they got friends. Iran got friends all around them. Unlike Venezuela, you know, they didn't have a lot of, you know, friends, so to speak. So I hope that President Trump, you know, give a second or third thought, okay, before he tried to go and, you know, and beat up, you know, drop a bomb over there, because it would not be a pretty thing. It's not a personal opinion on it. What are your thoughts, Scott?
I'm sorry, I was paying attention to the broadcast.
Okay, good, okay. I like that now. And also, just for sake of conversation, okay, 3 Silicon Valley engineers were charged with stealing Google trade secrets and sending them to Iran. Again, that's why I said that's what Iran right now, okay. But also one of the things, I personally myself, okay, I don't know about a lot of people right now. I was only embarrassed yesterday, you know, but encouraged yesterday with the Supreme Court. Yesterday ruling 6-3, saying that the tariffs, which is legally should come from Congress. There are congressional duties right now, and just for the you know, for people not aware, if you watch the way the government going in the last year, there's only one branch of government for the most part, but there are 3. One is the congressional, which is the Congress, which is the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Well, the House of Representatives have been missing in action, you know, for the last year, because Mike Johnson, the Speaker, okay, has given all his rights over to the President on an executive order, and so that means that now the President is doing things that the Congress should be doing. And right now, one of those things is when it comes down to the situation with us doing with the what you talk about now with these tariffs. The tariffs, anything that's the spending bill comes out of the House of Representatives. That's where all spending bills come from. And when they come out of the House of Representatives, okay, that's how they're starting, then they go to the Senate. And so right now, what happened yesterday was the Supreme Court said the president has no control and should not be doing any tariffs right now. Now, and so they just stood up, and I was embarrassed, okay, how the president talks so bad about the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Talk bad about the Supreme Court. I mean, and you know, no branch of government should ever tear down the other branch of government like that. I mean, that's just
I mean, that sounds rational. I mean, but are you talking about a situation nowadays that is rational? If that makes sense. Like,
say it again so people understand. Say it again.
So what I'm saying is you're acting as if we're in usual times. I don't think we are in usual times. So to think of something rationally at this time seems irrational.
Yes. Yes. You know, but excuse me, okay. But then, as a matter of fact, yesterday, the way he talked about, he sounded like a baby that had lost, that somebody had smacked upside the head. You know what I'm saying? But on the tariffs, okay, that has created so many problems for our entire country. Like right now, gross national product, okay. The economy is slowly going in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? Inflation is higher than they had been anticipated.
But that's not what they would have you to know. That's not what they would even saying. They would say that it is the best that it's ever been.
Well, see,
it's delusion. Everyone is delusional.
What they say, right? It's delusion, okay. If you believe what they say now, having said that, okay, this has affected all of our food prices. Because see, our country depends on so many things for import and export, like in China. What can you find in anybody's house? You got something made in China. I mean, I don't care. Some of your clothes that's made in China. I mean, and so that's so now, not only that, okay. The tariffs affect the foods that we buy. The vegetables that we buy, the tomatoes that all those the bananas and things that you go to the grocery store that was normal prices. You go to the store, those prices. They ain't the same no more.
Ridiculous.
They're ridiculous. Okay. Now that is not just, but it's gonna get worse now.
Yeah.
Because now this is creating so much confusion or chaos now about what they do with all the money that they just raised. I didn't get none of the money. Okay, all this tariffs raised right now. For all these countries, that paid all this money in. That money had got to go. It's here in some place. We should not be shared with us because all the corporations are complaining. They're the ones that filed a lawsuit that was able to raise this tariffs, to go with the tariffs and what have you. You know what I mean? And so right now, we got to figure out who's going to get that money. As a matter of fact, a little known thing is that one country, like, I think Vietnam, for instance, they had like a 34 high tariff that he had put on them, okay? Now, you say that's high, right? Well, guess what? In the meantime, his sons went over there and they gave them a whole lot of land, moved some people out, okay? And then guess what? After he got one, he worked for his family, okay? He dropped the tariffs on them. Now, is that right? No, that's what I said. There's a lot that's been going on behind the scenes, okay? That's all coming out. And not only that, our tourism business for the last year is down over 6%. Because a lot of foreign countries right now bring their kids to our country, for Disney World like that. They said, I don't want to go to that country no more. They watch what's happening up in Minnesota, Minneapolis there. That goes all the way around the world. And they said, no. And now what that does, all that tourism business, all those T-shirts they got made up for this year in Disneyland and in all those places, the bars and the casinos and all those places, the hotels and stuff, they're hurting right now. And that's why our growth is, the growth is down now. Like the growth national product is badly missing the estimated rate after coming in at just 1.25. They had expected 2.5. And this is, our country is going in the wrong direction. We're going in the wrong direction on so many things, but I can't even begin to put the start where we could go with this, okay? And then, as a matter of fact, not only is it going in the wrong direction, it's staying in the wrong direction. It's going in different places. Now, one thing that's, I just mentioned briefly, we got to catch up here. The the National Governors Association had a meeting with President Trump prior to him getting the news about the tariffs. Well, in that meeting that he had, okay, the National Governors Association refused to meet with the president that they normally would, mainly because he didn't want to have, first of all, he didn't want to have the Democratic governors in there. But he said, if you can't have Democrats, we can't come in. We ain't coming without them. And then he said, well, y'all, Democrats can come, but you can't have the governor of Colorado or the governor of Maryland. Well, the governor of Colorado have to be gay. Well, the governor of Maryland, we all know, Westmore. So he said, I don't want them to be coming into the meeting. And guess what? The governor said, we're going to meet with you. And I thank them so much, okay? So he was pissed off yesterday when he went to the meeting, okay, about the tariffs. So he was having a bad day already, okay? You know what I mean? And so we had another bad day. And also, something that you got to keep an eye on, Chrissy Nolan, who's over the Department of DHS right now, who's behind all this immigration and stuff like this. But right now, she's been investigated on two fronts. One, but she's a married lady, by the way. And so is Corey Lewandowski. But they've been reported as being kind of too close together, for lack of a better description. And so now she's been investigated for that, as well as she's found over either resigned 80% of the staff when she came in, and they'll continue making cuts in that department, and they'll continue taking no exhibit. And another thing I'll let you go here, the Washington slavery exhibit was removed by Donald Trump in executive order at the end of this hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, has been reinstalled. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. And also, one last thing here. This is Black History Month. Y'all know about this. The most soul food restaurants are located in the Midwest and in the South. In fact, Indiana and Illinois in the Midwest has the most soul food restaurants. And in the South, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi are the top two ones in there. And also, we are praying for the Guthrie family. Nobody want to lose a family member under no circumstances. So right now, we also said that in St. Louis, crime, carjacking, murders in the county city continues to increase. And so we said, thank you. If we can bring those numbers down some more. This is Ferguson, USHotTalkRadio.com. My name is Alfred. This is Dean Busby. FergusonHotTalkRadio.com. That's what you got to check it out. We'll be right back. So I'll take it out of here.
Just a second.
We're out. Saturday afternoon. I hope it's nice where you are. We have a very special guest. Matter of fact, not only this, he's a guest, especially because he's part of my church, Spirit Church. Also, our pastor, News Williams, is our pastor, all-pro Hall of Famer. He's also a part of our congregation, a very busy lady, very active in our church, okay? But also, she's on today because she has so much of a rich history that we got to talk about, you know, and that's something in Black History Month. We want to kind of, you know, talk about things like that, okay? Like, you know, like one of the things that we call in our history, Porky and Bess. And I said Porky and Bess, Athena, what did that remind you of?
Porky and Bess?
Mm-hmm.
What does that remind me of?
No, just said it for you.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
our Black community.
Okay. And right now, okay, we was talking earlier on, okay, that the Metropolitan, the first Black male started joining the Metropolitan Opera. You know, I'm minding me of the situation, you know, to take place was that you was married, okay, let me get this straight. Let's tell us about who Athena is first of all. I did a good job, but you do a better job.
Well, I married Robert, and he was 33 years old.
No. Who's Robert? Now, you tell us the history now. Everybody know we get the plan.
Tell you about me. Okay. I am a retired artist representative. I am also...
who did you represent?
I represent illustrators. And I represented Thomas Blackshear, who painted all of the Star Wars posters when Star Wars first came out. And last year, he was nominated for the best artist in the country. And I had the privilege, his name again is Thomas Blackshear, and I had the privilege of representing him, and he is absolutely wonderful. So I decided after I retired also from Merritt Inc. as a commercial artist, designer.
How long were you a commercial artist?
For about 25 years.
Wow. And what high school did you go to? Come on now, break it down.
Oh, the Distinguished Sumner High School.
Distinguished Sumner High School. Okay.
And and after that, after representing illustrators, I decided to start.
Okay, now, before we go any further, you Russian here. How did you become you left Sumner High School? Where did you go to school next?
Then I went to Webster College. It was Webster University back then. I mean, it was Webster College back then.
Webster College.
It's now University, Webster University. And I taught at a private school on campus there, the college school, and I was in the art department, and that's where I spent my 4 years.
Okay, now, but so how did a Black woman, okay, become a Black illustrator? Now, what was your impetus? What was your inspiration?
Well, a commercial artist doesn't necessarily have to be an illustrator. There are different positions. There is a designer who will design a project, and if that designer wants to use an illustrator, she can use an illustrator. I do not illustrate. And then when that project is completed, a production artist will get it prepared for the printer.
Wow.
And the pieces will be made. And so that is what I was doing.
Okay, so once you walk through the steps, okay, how the last, before you retired, okay, the one that was so famous, how did that come together?
Me and Robert?
No.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. Can you hear me okay, Scott?
I can hear you okay.
Okay, well, make sure it's okay, but let me see if I turn my phone with it, okay. I said, okay, what you were telling us, okay, about your most famous right before you retired. Then you better, I think you be better now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what was the famous one that you just retired on? That you retired? What was the name of that movie?
Are you talking about Porgy and Bess? You said movie?
No, the one, no, you said Star Wars.
Oh, the Star Wars. The guy.
How did that come about?
I don't know how that came about with him, but he was very famous already. Thomas Blackshear. He was friends with people in Hollywood like Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams was a painter, and he was a great friend of Billy D's, and maybe that came about with him. I don't know, but
I guess what I'm saying. To be in those circles, okay, we not in those circles. Like you said, Billy D. Williams, like we all know Billy D. Williams, okay, who's a very famous star, okay.
Yeah.
How could you went from Western College, okay?
Yes.
Okay, now you're on the West Coast now in California now, right?
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get out there?
Well, I didn't get out there. I'm just sharing that Thomas Blackshear had connections out there. He had connections.
Okay.
And my representing illustrators, one of our famous projects was Tony Wade illustrating, in which I represented him, illustrated a poster for the 1988 Olympics. And Tony was a magnificent illustrator, and I just had the privilege of having him as one of my clients to represent.
Okay. Now, how did you become? Now, you were like an agent, right? You said.
Yes.
Now, how did you get in that position? Okay, that's not too many black females or black men, period, that I'm aware of. Okay, that they said they've been agents for somebody in that business for 25 years. Okay.
There weren't too many people that looked like me doing that, and I had a dear friend who was working for an advertising agency that was a representative, and I knew these black artists who were perfect in their illustrations, and I just wanted to, I had a mind to represent them, because back then black artists weren't used as much as white artists, or I'll say illustrators. And
we can call them artists. We can do that.
Yeah, and they didn't work as much as the white illustrators. So I wanted to represent them, and I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I pitched Tony Wade's artwork to the American Girl Doll Company. I don't know if you know of that company. And they wanted, for the first time in their company, to do a black doll. This was the first time that they had ever done it, and Thomas was the one that put me on to them, Thomas Blackshear. And Tony, I introduced Tony's artwork to them, and they wanted to use him. So they did, and I pitched that, because they asked me, well, Athena, how much do you want him to make for this job? And I said, well, it isn't often that black artists get projects like these, and I would like to present $85,500 for him to get paid for this, because it's probably far and few and between where he would be able to get another job. So we will take the $85,500 and we will ask for no less. And I went out, Tony was in another room, and I went out and I spoke to Tony. I said, Tony, how much do you want for this job? He said, well, I don't know, Athena. I said, well, I pitched $85,500. He said, you pitched that? I said, yes, I did, because I think you're worth it. So I went back and we got the job.
Okay. So right now, so really, that's what I'm saying, okay. For you to be in that position, okay, am I right, Busby? I heard you say, okay, you know what I mean? You had to have some clout, okay? You just didn't fall out, because right now, first of all, okay, you have a very famous name, okay, McFerrin, okay? So before we get to get married, your maiden name is Bush. Tell us about your Bush name, please.
Yes, I'm Athena Bush, and I'm the daughter of Jimmy and Lola Bush, who are now deceased. And I'm also the cousin of Corey Bush, our former congresswoman, who is running again for that seat. And she will be having on the 24th of February a rally in Jefferson City. So if anybody wants to go and support her, please come that day. It's going to be wonderful. So I am proud to have Corey as a cousin, and she's done very well, and I love her to death.
Well, you want to be proud of your family. I mean, come on, let's be honest, okay? So now, when did you get married, okay? Now, you can take the history here.
Okay, all right. I was not Robert's first wife. I was his second wife. And we married the day after Thanksgiving. And Robert, I was 30.
Wait, what year? You know? God,
I can't remember, but anyway, he was 30.
Benjamin.
Huh?
He was 33.
Yes, and he was 73.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh, you know, that's what everybody said. And let me tell you something. That was a match made in heaven. And I do not need any validation from anybody but the Lord.
Oh, no.
Perfect marriage. It was absolutely wonderful. We never argued, but if Robert had something that he wanted to say, and if there was a misunderstanding, the only thing he would do is say, "Now, baby, I don't agree with you." And he was so funny. And
we need to teach that to a whole lot of people nowadays.
I'm at a loss on this one. I'm gonna stay quiet on this one. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Well, Bubba see her later, okay? So that's why she gets some advice, okay?
You know, our marriage, like I said again, was a match made in heaven. And our ways are not like God's ways. Neither our thoughts are like his thoughts. But he permitted and allowed and told me through a covenant that Robert was supposed to be my husband. And
wow.
And before we married, Robert was in a nightmarish situation. He had gotten robbed from his apartment. And I was there overseeing everything because that had just happened. And I was at his apartment one day, and we were sitting there, and there was a knock on the door. And after we had opened the door, a gentleman came in, and I introduced myself to him. I introduced Robert to him, and we talked for a little while. And then after he left, Robert said, "That's the son of a bitch that robbed me." Oh, see, Robert had aphasia. He had stroked. And I'll tell you about that a little bit later. And he wasn't able to talk. And he did his constitutionals every day, 2 or 3 times a day. And I think this guy just walked up on him and saw that he had a disability and took advantage of him. Well, I was going to take care of him. At that time, I was singing with a 20-piece band, the Jazz Edge, and I didn't know Robert that well, but I wanted him to come and hear me sing with this band. And he came, and he complimented me and said that my voice was wonderful, and I thought that was really good. And he traveled a lot. He was still traveling. He couldn't talk, but he could sing. He never lost his singing voice.
Wow.
And so he was traveling, and I began to miss him. And I thought everything was okay. He was hoping everything was okay. And then I took him to a family reunion, and he proposed to me, and I said no. But then he kept proposing. And then he kept posting until I finally said yes. So we got married the day before Thanksgiving, and in 2025 he passed away the day after Thanksgiving. But I would like to get into how his career started, if that's okay.
Please go right ahead.
Okay, Robert is one of 8 children and was born in Marianna, Arkansas. And when we met Hillary Clinton, he was still talking in choppy sentences. And he told Hillary, he said, I was born in Arkansas just like your husband. And I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, just like Al Gore. And he thought that was just a big thing, that he had something in common with them. But anyway, he was the son of Reverend Melvin McFerrin, who was a Baptist minister who moved to St. Louis with his family in 1936. And Reverend McFerrin subsequently became a pastor of the King's Highway Baptist Church. And they came to St. Louis on a prompt by an urging aunt from Memphis who had heard the things about education offered at Sumner High School, especially the skills of a music teacher, Wirt Walton, who was the only person who sensed greatness in my husband. And my husband had a very young voice. He was in high school, and his voice was very young. But Wirt Walton saw that there was potential. So Walton did not only encourage my husband and trained him in classical voice, he had the audacity to tell Robert that he would someday be talented enough to try out for the New York Metropolitan Opera.
Yeah.
Because he was that good. He was that good. And Robert had a photogenic memory. He sang in different languages. And he just caught on very quickly. So Robert remembered thinking at the time that Mr. Walton was a fine music teacher, but he had to be nuts. And Robert would always tell him, what do I need to do that for? What for? Why do I need to go and do that? And Robert did finally go and audition. And he and his first wife, Sarah, who I love very dearly, lived in New York. And they lived in the same apartment as Marian Anderson. And Marian Anderson was so busy and so famous. I mean, she sang for kings and queens that the only time
right.
Yeah, that the only time he saw her was in the lobby every once in a while. But they were proud to know that they were in the same building.
Well, that says a lot. That says a lot. That says a lot to be in New York, okay, in that environment, okay. Yes.
Yeah, and Robert went ahead and auditioned, and it was a bold prediction for any high school teacher to make, but especially so at the time, because no African American voice had ever been heard on the Metropolitan Opera stage. But in 1954, Robert became the first African American man to sign to a contract by the New York Metropolitan Opera. Just 2 weeks after Marian Anderson. Marian Anderson was the first. And the wonderful person that was the general manager who did all of this was Rudolph Bing. And Robert said he was as tough but tactful, a politician at times who always managed to be a couple of steps ahead of everybody. And Robert said a good example of him was when he booked Marian Anderson for a Met concert. And he said after all, they couldn't frown upon Anderson, who had sung for kings and queens all over the world.
Right.
Yeah. And Anderson preceding me, he said, at the Met just made things that much easier when his time came along.
Okay, now tell us about how this Sidney Poitier, this is interesting here. Tell us about how that came about.
Okay. I will. Let me think. Let me think here just for a second.
Take your time. Don't let no rush. We're just taking.
Yeah, in 1955, Robert made his Met debut as Amonastro in Verdi's Aida. And if anybody knows opera, they know that that's an Egyptian opera.
That's a beautiful. I heard it's beautiful.
Yes, and he was Aida's father and played a major role. And the world was suddenly turned on its ear when he did that. And Robert stayed in the Met until 1959, playing leading roles in Faust and Rigoletto. And his talents became more familiar to the general public when he served as the singing voice for Sidney Poitier's Porgy and Bess in the film version of Ira and George Gershwin's Porgy and Bess.
No, I like that Ira name. I like that Ira name. So that's what.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. And that's how we met, wasn't it, Ira?
Right. Well, yeah, that's how we met. We were in church, right? And you were talking about Ira. I said, "Well," I said, "Hold on, you caught my ear, okay?" I said, "Hold on, tell me more here." And you got an air for talent here. I didn't know your history, okay? But guess what? This is but this is Black History Month, okay? And see, us blacks as a whole need to hear what you're talking about today, because there's always been rare opportunities, okay, for us to do things, but when we step to the plate, we always excel once we got there.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And you know what? I'm not reliving the past. I'm just honoring it.
No, we honor. No, we tell them history. If we don't think, Athena, if we don't tell our young folks, people around us, okay, about what we're talking about today, they would never understand how they got here.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
what you said about Sidney Poitier, Porgy and Bess, people remember Sidney Poitier only what they saw in the movies, okay? They did not know about what else he did, okay?
Right.
But do a lot of people even know, young people know who Sidney Poitier is? You know, do they know who he is and what his contribution was and how important that is? I also think it's important to talk about those types of things because young people, even myself, I mean, you get ideas. There could be somebody who wants to do exactly what she's done and have a different approach to doing it, or she sparked something in them today. I mean, it's just important to hear the stories. You don't know the impact until it happens.
Right, right. And you know what? I feel a little weepy right now because these tears are not weakness, but they're tears that are sacred. And you know, I stood and lived beside greatness. Not everyone is given the assignment of carrying history forward. It is our purpose and our covenant given by God. We're here for a purpose, not just to have fun, but we are here to usher and let people know that there is eternity there for us when we die. But and every time I open my mouth and tell his story, I am keeping doors open for generations who may never know how those doors were first pushed wide.
But you know something, one of the things, okay, that I'm amazed about today, it was about you being an illustrated agent, okay?
Yes.
You did it for a number of years and did it for the Star Wars movies. See, people are not even aware, okay, that a black was involved at that level.
Yeah.
So there are situations, okay, that there's other things you probably haven't told us about, okay, that you had done, but in 24 years, other than Star Wars, what was one of your other great movies things that you was excited about?
Oh, well, the Olympics, as I said, and working for Anheuser-Busch. I did work for them, and I was full-time at Merritt's Incorporation.
Okay, now we getting there. Okay, now see, the people out of where Merritt's, okay, oh my God, that's talking about old money, okay, when it comes to advertisement and stuff, they've been a part of so many great things, okay. You know, and they still afford a lot of stuff, okay, that goes on that people and see now our young people not even familiar with who marriage is, what they are, what they did.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes.
But most illustrations and things like that, motivational speaking. Because right now you're a very distinguished speaker in the way you pronunciate your words. So you didn't just couldn't be around all these talented people, okay, and say, "Hey, Drew, what to do? Blah 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 blah." You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So you are very distinguished in your word and your choice of words. Yes. And how you make your points, okay? And to be an illustrator, and I love art myself, okay? I can't draw. I just learned how to draw a straight line recently, okay? But to be able to be an illustrator with Anheuser-Busch, that says a lot right there. To be an illustrator with marriage, that says a lot there. So so any blacks that's out there right now did not know that Athena bridged the ground, it made the path, or as a prison show they're standing on right now.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That you were the person, okay, that was blessed. Now, you use the word blessed, okay. We go no place unless we're blessed. Because God has a plan for all of us, even today, for us to have all of us on the line today. This was ordained by God long before I met you, long before I met Busby, okay? Because we all was going to come together and let people in St. Louis know in Black History Month. Here's a black young lady, okay, a black female, okay, a black female at Anheuser-Busch in their art department, in their art department. And not only that, okay, her work was being recognized.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't actually, I was freelancing. I wasn't actually.
Wait a minute. Athena.
Yes.
You was criminal, okay? But you were there. Am I right, Busby? I break it down.
But absolutely to be in the house because it was hard to get in those places.
And back then, that was in the 80s. And let me tell you something. There were a lot of art studios. There were a lot of art companies, small and large. And you could count the black people on one hand that worked for those companies back then.
I know.
It was easy when the turnover was great at Merritt's because people were disgruntled, the artists were. And it was easy for them to say, well, I went to Merritt's, and then they get hired at these other places that are treating artists much better. But as a black person, not being disgruntled at Merritt's, I went and did the same thing, but the doors didn't open for me, and I had to stay put. And I stayed put for 7 years, and I said, God, there's got to be something better than this. I am not happy anymore.
Athena, but you were being paid while you was there, and you was learning while you were there.
Yes, and I did my best. I loved my job. I did very well on my job, but I wanted to do something different. And you know what I did? I packed up my bags and went and lived in Japan for 6 months.
In Japan?
In Japan for 6 months.
What part of Japan?
All over Japan. I was in the countryside. And I didn't go to the popular places like Tokyo and Kyoto. Too many people. I went there to, as a missionary, to share the gospel.
Congratulations.
With people. And English is the Japanese second native tongue, and just about everybody speaks English there. And what I did was teach English conversation courses, and at the end of all of those classes, I would share God's love with the Japanese.
Wow. Now, how many? Come on, I'm getting ready to just say the right thing and the wrong thing. But here you are in Japan, coming all the way from Southern High School here, Webster College, married her, and you were freelancing, okay? those are jobs people would die to have for today. Am I right, Busby? She had to phone muted again. But it's opportunities to be in those environments, Athena. And then now see, this is what Black history is all about, okay? Mm-hmm. For us to be able to talk about somebody like yourself, which to me means let our young folks know you can do it. If you did it, they can do it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I have had the opportunity to meet all kind of international people. It was wonderful. But if I can just share you something, what Robert had said, he told a reporter one day that he wasn't especially proud to be the first African American, and he didn't want to be called African because he said, I don't know if I'm African, I'm just American. That was his way.
Come on, yeah.
And so he said that he wasn't particularly proud about being the first Black American to be signed by the Metropolitan Opera, but Rudolph Bing back in 1955 still feels pretty much the same. He said, whenever, and these are his words, he said, whenever someone makes a big thing about my singing that contract with the Met, it suggests that I was the first Black who was good enough. That isn't true now. And it wasn't then. Plenty of Black singers before me were good enough. I just happened to be the first who was given an opportunity because other people were not. And it happened just 3 weeks after Marian Anderson was signed to a contract by the Met. And he said, I think the only reason there hadn't been any Blacks in the Met before was that there hadn't been any Blacks in the Met before.
Amen and amen and amen to
Wow.
that.
Wow.
But it's the truth, though.
Yeah, awesome that he said that, though, that he made that distinction that, it implies, and that is what it implies, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, I got to tell you about this stroke Robert had. I met Robert probably about 3 years after he had his stroke. I didn't know him when he had a stroke, but I met him when he had aphasia after the stroke. And among other effects of a stroke, aphasia happens, and it's a disorder characterized by problems in communicating due to difficulties in understanding and formulating reading and writing language. So he sang in he talked in choppy sentences. And because I was very dedicated to my husband, I heard and listened to him every day. And when he would try to express himself, because I heard and listened to him every day, I was able to really decipher what it was he wanted. And it wasn't that bad.
That was important. That was an important position. I shouldn't use the word. That was a great thing for him, okay, to have you at that time in his life, okay, when he needed you the most. When he could not communicate, clearly, but that's why who could explain something that's being said, because he knew his heart.
Yes, I did. And I was on a mission with him. I had an assignment to take care of him. That was what I was supposed to do. And I loved him dearly. Now, when he stroked, he was in the hospital, and Bobby, his son, had to come to St. Louis. And Bobby was very upset with the doctors because
Let me cut you off for a second, okay?
Yes.
I'm somewhat upset, okay, about some of the high school right now. But I have not heard anything about Mr. McFerrin, okay, being one of the honorees that they've been proud of. For this man have done all that he's done. To not be somebody that they talk about in their Hall of Fame or something.
Yes, there is a Hall of Fame in Sumner, and it's all...
I know it is.
Yes. And
Matter of fact, they just inducted our friend Busby, Diane White. We all know her, you know. Diane was a character, and we all loved her. Okay.
oh, yeah. She was a good friend of my sister Jeanette, because Jeanette worked at Channel 5 as an engineer.
See, there we go again.
And I know I believe I knew Jeanette. She worked there for a long time as an engineer, didn't she?
Yes, and she was also a professional model for St. Louis, Saxon.
Maybe that wasn't her.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
this lady was tall.
Yeah, she was tall and thin. It's a small world, isn't it?
Well, I'm not telling the secret here. You're tall and you're thin also, so it means it runs in the family.
Well, thank you. Well, Robert's in this hospital now, and Bobby is upset because the doctors have given up on him, and he called those doctors, the prophet of doom, because he couldn't accept that his father wasn't capable of any significant recovery, and he knew that he had to recover some kind of way. But somehow Robert was able, and I met Robert Jr., but somehow Robert Sr. was somehow able to communicate that he, in the hospital, wanted to see his classical music scores. And he was able to get that. So a nurse retrieved them from his apartment, and then it happened. McFerrin got the classical scores. The hospital hired an accompanist to come. They put a piano on the ward.
Oh my God!
They gave the music to Robert, and Robert began to sing.
Oh my God!
He began to sing, and he still couldn't talk, but he was able to sing. And
let me say this, okay? When we hear this phrase, Scott and Busby, God works in mysterious ways, don't he?
Yes, he does.
This is a perfect example that you cannot assume that the person is beyond, their mission that God gave them. But when you be in a hospital, to be able to get a piano, okay, and still have the voice, okay, that could resonate through the hospital.
Yeah. Opera stars, their voice is short-lived. I mean, you don't see old opera stars because the pressure on those vocal cords have been used so much that their life, the life expectancy is a little short for those voices. But Robert, George Shirley, Maddie Wilda Dobbs, these are all famous people that broke barriers in classical music. Todd Duncan and Camilla Williams, those people were in their senior year still singing, and their voices were intact.
Come on.
Their voices were intact. And I think it's a blessing because they were famous, but not in the circles that other famous opera singers were in. And they traveled the world around. And they were famous among some people, but they didn't have the exposure as everybody else did. And Robert, when Robert won that contract at the Met, after that, his life was in danger. He was being threatened.
Wow.
He was told he couldn't go here, he couldn't go there. The opera would go down south. He couldn't do that. He couldn't do that at all. And
back in those days, okay, and I was down south in those days, a lot of the baseball teams, when the blacks would travel, they could not stay in the same hotels.
Exactly.
And I'm quite sure with the Met, it was no different, okay, that there are places that he could not stay. They didn't put him in that environment, okay, where his life was being threatened. Even when Hank Aaron hit his famous home runs, okay, that was in modern times, okay, and they were trying to kill him then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that hate, okay, is unreal. But guess what? Through it all, there's a song out there, something I can't sing. Through it all, okay, he succeeded, okay. Matter of fact, one of the things that I don't want to be remiss, I know I won't, you let me remind me, okay, but his son, tell us about, you talking about what his son did, how his son felt about his father, okay. Tell us a little bit about one of the McFerrins, okay, that you all are proud of from his father.
Bobby has conducted every major symphony in the world. He's not only a
now we said Bobby. Who is Bobby talking about here?
Okay, we're talking Robert Jr.
Okay.
Robert Jr. has won 10 Grammys. He has conducted every major symphony in the world.
Wow.
And I heard through the grapevine, and I've got to call him, that he may be suffering with Parkinson's disease. And he's 2 years older than me. I'm 73. And I think he's either 75 or 76. And I've got to contact him to see if that's true. But he has done that, and it's really...
Okay, now, what do we know Bobby McFerrin from? Tell us.
Well, you know, from the mega hit, he created in about 15 minutes a mega hit, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And people may not remember his name, but they do remember that song. And that song became so worldwide that people were saying all the time, don't worry, be happy, don't worry, be happy, that it became a little ugly. Because every time Robert Jr. would go somewhere, he would get this mass mob of people saying, don't worry, be happy. You're the one that sings, don't worry, be happy. And it kind of put him in a position where he was feeling uncomfortable about it. But it's a song that really blesses people. And again, he wrote that in 15 minutes, and it just became a mega hit.
You know, Athena, I got to cut you off again. Back in those days, I was still in the labor movement in those days, okay, with the Teamsters. And we had a paper called it was for the Joint Council newspaper they put out, on a Monday, a 40 basis. And I wrote an article, okay, picking his song, okay, don't worry, be happy. And I was saying now, okay, people are telling us, no, don't worry, be happy, okay, but now they put it into a song. It's all referring, to Bobby, to Mr. McFerrin. I'm not calling him Bobby, Mr. McFerrin. Well, I'm the same age or just about. I'm older than he is. I can call him Bobby. Okay. Yeah. that Bobby's song was such a motivator. Okay, and at that time, it was hard times in our country that we were going through, and it was an ideal song for us to hear, to lift us up as a race of people, not just black, but everybody love Don't Worry, Be Happy. We all would happy to hear some music like that.
It was all in Japan when I was in Japan, and it was really popular. It was really a popular song, and he kind of disassociated with it because it became so popular. And when you got the public knowing something as popular as that, you get a little, you feel like your privacy has been invaded.
I'm not going to be funny. I say it on behalf of Busby and Scott myself. Well, I don't know how to feel to be that popular.
I don't either. Me either. But I want to say something funny I hope nobody takes it like this, but that song was outrageously popular. I mean, just overwhelmingly, it was everywhere, and she's so right when she talks about that. But my daddy just despised that song. He was like, how can he say, don't worry, be happy? How am I not going to? I was like, it is not really all that, Daddy. I mean, calm down. You just want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that he did, in a facetious way, but it tickles me when I hear
that song. Here, it's funny to hear though that he disconnected himself with it, because not only it was just, I don't think that there's been a bigger song.
Yeah, it was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Overwhelming is not the word. It was universal, okay, and even today. You know, you hear the tune right now in a lot of commercials, okay? They might not play the whole song in its entirety, but they have little tidbits, okay?
I bet he got residuals for that too, royalty.
Right. They use it as a jingle.
You're right. They're using a lot of jingles right now. But I guess the thing about it, you know, Athena, is that you have, as I told you when I first met you, okay, you have had a lifestyle that very few people have had, that I know of. They've been in the company of so many famous people, and that okay, you're part of a famous family. Not only right now, you know, with Bobby McFerrin, okay, but with your niece Corey Bush. You know, she's a young lady that came out of our rides. I can call them the rides we had out there in Ferguson, okay.
Yes.
And but you know how we always report. Everybody in St. Louis during that time period, okay. I wasn't involved as much as I should have been, but I broke my knee during that same period, so I couldn't get involved. But I was involved with the people that's on the front line, like the Cleo Willises, like the all the leaders. What was his name? Wesley Bell. What was his name? My commitment. Well, he gonna get me, okay? When I said this, Anthony Bell. What's his name? Anthony Shahi. All these people, okay, were part of that period, okay, and only she came out, okay, to rise to that height. And then her became Wesley Bell, also out of that same climate. But right now, with Mr. McFerrin, okay, the thing that he did, he had lifted so many people with him, okay. And anytime something like the song that he wrote, and the songs, you know, that your husband was involved with, the music and stuff, they lifted up so many people around them.
Yes.
To such heights, okay, that we also been blessed, okay, to live behind them. Am I right, Busby?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, right now, Busby, you was on the front lines, you know, with all that going on, okay, because you was probably reporting a lot of the news at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and like that. As a matter of fact, now, I would be remiss if I ain't said, Denise Busby, okay, you are a legend in your own time. I mean, let's tell people about our co-host, Scott. Not only does she worked at iHeartRadio, they call it. She worked at Magic. All of the stations out there they had. You worked at St. Louis City, they called it, or City 16, SLTV.
It's called STLTV now.
It's SLTV now.
Yeah, they're fancy.
Right. Oh, wait, come on now. Okay, well, then also you worked at some of the local TV stations. I think toward the Channel 11 or Channel 2 or whatever.
I worked at Channel 11.
And, you know, and so, but you've been a part, okay, of all of this here. So you ain't, you know, so you've been around the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do right now? What we're talking about that? What are you doing now? You're still busy.
Who are you talking about, me?
Yes, ma'am, you.
Oh, I'm Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Boys and Girls Clubs.
Say it again.
Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis.
Now, Phil, did you hear that? Okay, here's a black woman, okay. In our midst, okay.
Yes, yes.
You know, and I don't know too many blacks that can say that they have had their position before, Busby.
Well, I think there are a lot of progressive black women who are doing tremendous things and are in these positions. I did want to ask our guest a question, though, not to throw it off of me, but because I love it. But I did want to ask her. I grew up in Union Memorial United Methodist Church, and Grace Bumry
On Delmar?
Yes.
off of on Belton Bartmer.
Oh, okay.
And Grace Bumry was. Now I don't remember her.
I do.
At our church. And when I was younger, her family was there, and I know what house they lived in and all that good stuff. And you were talking about opera singers and, how long they lasted and their voice lasted. And I just remember her. That's what I connect when I think of a lot of times, classical music.
Sumner High School, too.
Yeah, and also Harold Lee, too. He came from Sumner High School.
Okay.
And he traveled around the world to sing before kings and queens. As a matter of fact, he was my next door neighbor, but he was my brother's best friend.
Yeah.
And he came out of that Sumner heritage also, from Mr. Billups. They all came out of Sumner. Has been a well of information and good music for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there's so much. Sumner High School is a lot like your Annie Malone,
right.
in terms of the institution that it is and the people who have come out of that school. I mean,
right.
when you look at not only celebrities, but just everyday people who have come out of Sumner High School have made a difference in their respective communities. I mean, my mom went there, and I know my mom was active in her class. And that school really would not be open today if it wasn't for the alumni.
All right. Well, see, that's a good thing about it. Okay, the alumni came together when they were talking about closing the school.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, they would have closed the school, okay, if it had not been for the alumni.
Yeah.
I mean, the alumni.
Ira?
We lost them.
What happened?
I don't know, but let's go into a little bit of a break real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
service hour, folks. You listen to lot to Missouri Chamber of Commerce on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon this afternoon on FergusonUSAHotTalkRadio.com, on Facebook, YouTube, Live, and Twitch. And today we have a very special guest, Miss Athena McFerrin, and we've been doing a walk down memory lane. And also we have my co-host, Miss Deneen Busby. We have a small technical glitch, but she be calling back in. We got Scott right now. Miss Athena.
Yes.
As I was saying, that I felt, and that's my personal opinion again, that you should be appointed someplace over there, the things for the doors that you open up, okay, in your career, and that being, you said, an agent, in a field where there was very few agents in those days, to be able to speak for and do the things and to be a marriage and how to push in all the major corporations, okay, that speaks for itself. That's, to me, that's something that a lot of people can't say that's on their resume. You have a resume that people would die to have nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was blessed.
Yes, and you're blessed, and you're still blessed with good health.
Yes.
And you're still blessed right now to be, matter of fact, I would be remiss if I didn't say it's okay. Your cousin, Corey Bush, she's blessed now to have you as to be in a campaign with your expertise that you bring to the table.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, so that's why I say, in our midst, we have our blacks, okay. And in this program today, you have enlightened us about something that the Metropolitan offered before that we never been to before, right, Scott? That we didn't talk about the artists, the people that perform there. We talking about today, like people like Porky and the Best, Sidney Poitier. That is history all by itself, Matter of fact, Sidney Poitier was one of those actors that people probably don't remember him, okay, but he gets to come to dinner, just one of the movies, okay, that he starred in. In fact, he's a matter of fact an Academy Award winner also.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead. I just wanted to share again the one thing that Robert had. Wonderful character. His character was absolutely wonderful. And when he found out that he had strokes, he never got angry. He never got depressed.
Wow.
He never did a pity party. He just continued his singing. And
wow.
Our household was not a depressing one. It was a fun place to be. We had visitors all the time. Jack and Melody Jenkins were our dear friends. Jack came to the house twice a week to rehearse with Robert.
Now, wait a minute. Tell me about Jack Haynes. Tell us about him.
Jack Jenkins?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jack is a pianist and an organist. And
okay.
I can't remember how I met Jack. I think it was through Merrimack Community College.
Okay.
Maryville University. And I asked him because Robert, although he was still concertizing when we were married for 12 years and he kept singing, I wanted him to rehearse during the week. And Jack was kind enough to come into our home twice a week and rehearse with Robert. Now,
wow.
I sensed that the music was a little difficult reading, so I went and blew up his music 30 by 40.
Wow.
And he continued singing. He saw it better. And he continued.
I'm quite sure I could see that.
Yeah, because I didn't want him having a problem reading his music. And I didn't know for sure if he was having sight problems. So I went ahead and did that. But his son and Sarah was his first wife, as I mentioned, and she was especially proud of the fact that father and son were able to perform and record together 1 year after the stroke.
Wow.
And for both of them, Sarah recalls, she said, I'm convinced it gave him an enormous feeling of security to be working with his son. And then Bobby,
Matter of fact, that was probably a dream for both of them.
Oh, yes, it was. It was. And Bobby Jr. recalled the recording session as a transforming experience for him as well. And he said, while creating the CD, Medicine Music, and that's still being sold on Amazon.
4 minutes,
Okay. That's okay. Go ahead. It's on Amazon. Go ahead.
Yeah, he said, I became excited about the possibility of having my father sing on one of those tracks. I flew down to St. Louis and hired a recording studio near my father's home. The track was called Discipline on that Medicine Music CD, and it was foretold a lesson that father and son would learn together. The session took a really long time, which surprised both of us. First, what would normally have taken 10 to 20 minutes took us over 4 hours to finish to our satisfaction. And neither had anticipated was continued hurtles that the stroke-induced aphasia represented. He said, I teach my father a line and he'd sing it beautifully, said Bobby. And but in the 10 to 20 seconds it took to push the record button, he would forget it.
Oh, wow.
So what was both remarkable and instructive is that he said his dad didn't show any shame or anger at his expected development. And that's what I wanted to share. This was a happy man.
Well, see, Peter, let me say this to you, okay? He was a happy man, okay? Because he had a wife that made him happy.
Yeah, I did.
You paid a point. See, right now, the fact that he was happy enough to sing and that his son saw him being happy, probably with the impetus, okay, for the son, don't worry, be happy, okay, because his father saying, I'm not worrying, I'm happy.
Yes.
And that all came out of you, okay, doing what you were doing for his father. See, one of the things, okay, no child want to see their father or their mother being mistreated in their early life. They want them to be happy. They want them to be happy. Like I said, and he was so his father being happy. But this is a testament, okay, to you, okay, that you took the life of a man that had a stroke, okay, and didn't put him in the closet, okay. That's one thing most blacks do in our families. You have a stroke, they put you in the closet. Nobody wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you did not let them do that.
And God blessed him with no paralysis. He didn't have any paralysis at all. He was a dancer. He loved to dance. And, it was a blessing to have family and friends to come and see us. And we were entertaining folks all the time. And, of course, Robert's personality comes out shining. And there was always his music.
Okay, now as we get down to the end of the program, Ms. Athena McFerrin, I want to thank you, okay, for giving us a trip down memory lane and back down to present day history, okay. That is still so. I mean, this is one of Black History Month opportunities that we all should know about. That you've done such a beautiful job of telling us stories that never been told before. And without you, they probably never would have been told before.
Yes.
And then also along the way, there were jobs being created in a new industry, okay, that you created. And that's why I want to say thank you so much. So right now, I'm on behalf of Mr. Dean Busby, Reverend Elder Aldo Louds, Dr. DeVoe is busy in Washington, D.C. right now. A lot going on up there. And Scott Owen, my name is Ira Folks. Listen to Lunch with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce on Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And again, you can hear us again tomorrow at 1 o'clock to 3, and also again on Wednesday from 1 to 3. On that note, have a beautiful weekend. Life is good, and we'll talk to you again next week.